button.
You are listening to Dumpster Diving with
Janice
and Jane. And this morning, we have to apologize. We did not post a episode last week. We are such slackers.
No. Screw them. We'll post when we freaking want to post.
Oh, well, guess what, guys? We don't give a shit what you say.
And you know what? You're welcome. I don't even know what this episode is going to lead to, but you're welcome that we're posting. There you go.
Yeah. Well, let's just say that.
I'm coming off of March. It's Women's Month. I feel really like, just stop apologizing for shit, man. Stop.
She's empowered. She's coming out of March empowered.
Hey.
Well, we're going to need all the empowerment we can get because it has been a crazy 6 weeks. Lots of changes.
Yeah.
Family dynamics changing.
Yep.
Parent styles changing. Job chaos changing. Like everything is everything.
Every single front.
Yeah. So
which is why we decided that we're doing let's just dig through some trash episode today. This is all about like all the trash happening in our worlds right now. And I'm going to wager a guess, Jane, that our listeners are thinking to themselves, should I got some trash? So we're just going to start throwing trash around and, you think about your trash too. And then we're just going to do a dump and then we're going to walk away from it and be like, okay, it's out. Let's move.
But I don't even think that we're going to walk away from it. I think what we're going to do is we're going to dig through it. Well, you can walk away from whatever, but I have some shit to sort out. So,
all right, fine.
I think we can sort it. And then from this, I think several conversations are going to come out of this. So let's sort some trash. We haven't sorted trash in a while since we first started, and it's been a couple of months, guys. So let's get the party started. I'm gonna hand the baton over to you, Janice, and tell me how, what's been going on in your world lately.
Well, let's see. It's just honestly, it's just the regular crazy, except it's heightened, right? I've taken on a new role in my organization. So I'm gone from being the director of the work here in California across the state to the director across the region. And so, but at the same time, we've been waiting to hire somebody for my role in California. So I've been kind of trying to do two things. Anybody else sound familiar? Trying to wear two hats at one time? And so it's been a little crazy, and you start to feel like you're not being particularly effective on any front because you have so many fronts going on. And then alongside of that, of course, you and I are trying to get some momentum with the podcast, and I have my own like parenting expert thing that I'm trying to build off of my experiences. So, it's, and I've had those moments where I'm like, maybe I just need to stop something and I'm spreading myself too thin. But the fact is, like, I get joy out of all of it. So this weekend, this is a good time for this call because I've had some wins this weekend in terms of some of the stuff I'm doing kind of on the side that feel really good. And frankly, the thing I'm most grateful for is that on the family front, on my end, we're pretty, knock on wood, right? We're pretty steady, nothing too crazy, no major drama. So yeah. So I would say that's kind of where I'm at right now. So my trash isn't too deep right now. It's just the whole, like, just trying to be all things to all people. While I tell other women to stop trying to be all things to all people, by the way, because, that's what I do. But, we're getting there. So, thank you for letting me start. Yeah. But I have a feeling you're going to be the star of this episode. See how I phrase that? You're going to be the star.
Stop it. You're just saying that because I have drama right now.
You have drama, but hey, in all seriousness, this episode is about straightening your crown, girl.
That's right. And you just said something that, is something that came up yesterday. And, you just said, as I'm telling everybody not to take on, everything and everyone and stuff like that. And here I am doing it. Yeah. Self-awareness is huge. And I had to yesterday, and I'll tell that story, but I had to put myself on a timeout yesterday.
Nice.
At work, because it was, well, I'll get into that, but it was, like I self-regulated and was like, no, it's you.
So you were singing a little Taylor Swift. It's going on our Spotify.
Yeah. Mix, right? I'm the anti-hero yesterday.
I was
the problem yesterday, but you know what? We'll get to why and everything else, but it wasn't even like I did it without even noticing, but somebody else pointed out and I was like, good, badass of myself to do.
Very badass.
But anyways, What have I had going on? My goodness. Well, what haven't I had going on right now? Without getting too personal and, into the weeds with everything that, I don't want to bore everybody with the details, but relationship wise, there's a major change. I am now back to being a single mother and doing everything myself, which I'm sure a lot of people go, oh my God,
Uh-oh, she's pausing. Hold
where did
on.
I go?
There you are. I hear you.
Yeah, that's weird. My screen
Okay.
just changed.
Well, we
And
can hear you.
I no longer see everything. This is crazy. Hold
Yeah,
on.
that
Oh,
is
there you
weird,
are.
but that's okay. We got you.
Okay, so for some reason my computer is being wonky. So let me just fix this real quick.
Okay, everybody,
Sorry,
while
guys.
Jane is fixing her technology, I am going to entertain you with song. Actually, I'm not. I'm just going to tell you what it looks like to watch her do this. She's
It's
got a
fixed.
quick
It's
solo.
fixed. It's
Oh,
fine.
okay. I was just getting started though. Everybody was
Hear us.
intrigued.
Oh, I mean, no, it was beautiful. Thank you. Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
All right.
So relationship status has changed, and I'm now doing everything. And I know a lot of people would probably go, oh God, that's a lot and stuff like that. But it's been very empowering. And it's been very, I feel a lot more connected to my kids again, and in more control of my day to day. And I'm finding a lot of the things that would bug me, and stuff like that. Like it was a lot, but so things are
Hold on.
going well. Things
Hold
are
on.
adjusting. Yes.
Before you just kind of ram right through that, I obviously have a lot of background, and so I can take everything you're saying right now and be like, okay, yep, got it. But do us a favor and back up for a second. And I'm really thinking about, especially the parents out there in general, women, men, it doesn't matter, who suddenly find themselves in that place where they are the single parent, the full-time single parent. And so do me a favor and highlight a couple of things, for example, that you had perhaps handed over, if you will, to your partner to take care of, that now you've taken back, and how you did it. Like, how did you just, because girl, you're working like 100 million hours a week. So there's a reason you had handed things over, and now you're still working 100 million hours a week, but you've been able to take them back. Tell us a little bit about that so people can learn.
So I, it's something that I've had to do a couple of times in my life.
Yeah.
So, full disclosure, Jane's been married a couple of times, and or in relationships and stuff like that. But it's a mindset. More than anything, it's just a mindset. I don't have time to be sad. I don't have time to, I had my moment of sadness, and then I had to move on. And I'm very stoic in a lot of ways. But what that means for me in my day to day, like the physical aspect, is I work in LA, you guys. I work an hour and a half away from where I live.
Yep.
And I have a double director role, or roles at the nonprofit that I work for. And on top of it, I am the team coach internally and externally. So I have high demand for my time, and I also have clients. Yeah. And so, but my new position, or my double position at the nonprofit, requires me to be in LA most days of the week. Yeah. I have 2 teenage children, daughters, that need to be picked up and dropped off and everything else. So my spouse was taking care of all of the house stuff. She really allowed me to be able to do everything I needed to do. What I didn't realize when I relinquished all of that, not control, but responsibility, because it's not even about having control over it. It's about the responsibility.
Yep.
When I handed over that responsibility, it was hard for me at first, because it was something that I had never done before. Yep. I had never handed off the responsibility of my children and my household to anyone. Even when I was married and everything else, I did everything. Yeah. And they liked that. And then I got tired of it. So, it's like, So, but when I handed over that responsibility, I didn't realize after a while how much it connected me with everything. And then I felt very disconnected. And then I wasn't the main point of contact for schools and this and that. And so now I feel like I'm on a lonely island by myself, and everything else is happening around me, and I'm over here churning and burning just to keep it all going, but I have zero responsibility. Yeah. And that was really hard for me, because I take great pride in taking care of my family,
Absolutely.
to my children. I've been a mom since I was 15 years old. Like that's my identity for a
Of
lot of
course.
ways. But what's key, and I'm very prideful in the fact that I have great relationships with my kids and stuff like that. That's a huge thing for me. And so relinquishing that responsibility, really like taking it back on, felt so empowering,
Good.
and I felt good to do my own freaking laundry and to, rearrange my living room and get it to the way that I want, back to me,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
felt like a foreigner in my own home.
Yeah.
And so being able to take over that control, is as sad as it sounds that a relationship has ended and stuff like that, I don't feel like it was a bad thing. I think it ran its course,
Yeah.
and we're both better people for it. And now it's time for me to take back my pride, and my cubs. I'm the
Yeah.
Leo, they're my babies, and that's it. And I'm still working. This week was asinine with the amount of time that I spent in LA and everything else, but it still felt really good. And granted, I have my brother, he's been hanging out, and my sister-in-law. So they've been a huge help with all of this,
Good.
but
Good.
with them came chaos too, because they brought their 2 dogs. And so
Absolutely.
it's been a full house with 4 dogs running around and getting into trouble and making messes and everything else. But at the same time, I have to worry about them during a major event at work, which we had our annual fundraiser, and I haven't had a day off in like 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
and last night I got home at 2 a.m. and crashed, and then got back up this morning
Woo!
to record.
Look at you all here, fresh face. So
Yeah.
you
Is
said
that
a lot of
filter?
thank God for filters,
Zoom
girl.
filters.
Thank God for filters. So you said a lot of important things, and as you're sharing, I am being a dutiful podcast partner, and in
Thank
our
you.
planning document, I'm making a couple of notes in terms of potential topics for future conversations. And one of the things that struck me is that you talked about how by turning over all those things to your spouse, it let you do all the things you needed to do.
Yes.
Many of us are in relationships like that. On the flip side, right, you lose a little bit of yourself, because you kind of have to be okay with that spouse and that partner driving all the decisions,
Right.
and arranging the living room how they want it, etc. But it occurs to me, and I was just with some friends recently, and this kind of came up. It occurs to me that the fear, not the fear, the challenge there is how, when you have to split relationship responsibilities like that, and sometimes you just have to, nothing wrong with it, right?
Right.
When you have to do that, there's an intentionality that you have to bring to the table to make sure that one person doesn't get lost, that the person,
Right.
the Jane in the relationship in this example, doesn't get lost. And in other words, like you said, you come home and you don't even feel like it represents you anymore, because the one person who's there all the time, of course it's gonna reflect
Yeah.
them, because they're the ones there all the time. And yet, from our own psyches, we still need that place of that kind of habitat, if you will,
Right.
to reflect us. And so it's just something. So I wrote down something for us to come back to, this idea of making room for both of us,
Right.
in relationships in
Yeah.
long term. So we'll come back to that.
Yeah, but it's that compromise. It's that, and 'cause a lot of people think that compromise is a bad thing, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's just talking it out and coming to an agreement, and but I mean, it's, for me, aesthetics is everything.
Right.
I'm a very visual person. I love seeing beautiful things. I love hearing beautiful things. I love calm. I love peaceful, and certain things take away from that.
Sure.
And that it was being taken away from a lot,
Yeah.
and so there's a lot of things, and we don't need to get into that, but I've regained my responsibilities. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a
Yeah.
lot of fun to just relax and not have extra stress and different energies combating each other in the household. I didn't, for the last several weeks, I was, before everything happened, I was getting really bad anxiety just pulling
Yeah.
up to the house,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And it's nobody's fault,
Right.
and that's what I want to really say, is it's nobody's fault. It was just unsaid things that needed to be
Sure.
said. It was, and that's it. That's it.
I think a lot
So
of us can relate to that, right? When we think about
yeah,
previous
I just, you don't,
relationships and how, how they go down. And I, you and I are still really getting to know each other, because it's only been since really September, October. But one of the similarities we share is this idea that you kind of it's easy to let things just pile on and pile on and pile on until
Mhm.
you're done. But the
Yeah,
problem with that is that once you flip that switch, that's it,
that's
right?
it. And
And
it
so when you don't
sucks.
say them out, right, when you don't say them out loud all along, there's for some of us, depending on how there's no going back. And that's something I've
Right.
had to learn about relationships, right? Like you have to say it out loud, or
Yeah.
that flip gets switched and that's it.
Yeah, and it's and the other person's fighting for survival and they have no chance,
Yes.
and it's unfortunate. It's
Yeah,
unfortunate, and that's kind of how I'm wired, and I'm really trying to work on that. That's
sure.
something, and that's why I'm like, you know what? I don't need relationships.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll date, I'll whatever, and if we have, a really, no, we're not moving in together, we're not getting
Yeah.
married, we're not any of that stuff. It's going to be 5 years before we're moving in together. That's really
Hold
where
on,
we're at.
everybody. Oh wait, this is being recorded because I'm going to make a note on April
You
15th,
can mark
2023.
my words.
But
Mark my
honestly,
words.
so, this is Joe's third marriage and it's my second marriage. So one of the things that, when we first reconnected, we we may not have gotten married if it hadn't been for the fact that our kids were so young. And we
Right.
knew that if we were going to build a life together, in order to create confidence and safety, a feeling of safety, et cetera, for them, marriage was the answer. And even
Right.
for our respective ex-spouses, right? Like they needed
It's a
a
commitment.
high stakes commitment in order to be able to let us do what we needed to do. And it's not that we're against marriage, but what we've learned from our previous relationships is that official statement is not the bond that forges forever. It's just not.
No,
We've proven that.
no,
And so, yeah, I get what you're saying in terms of I don't need to be married again, right? That doesn't have
no.
to be the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And I don't, yeah, I don't want to do that because
yeah,
it's not needed. It's a legality thing.
right.
And if you really want to go and make sure that somebody gets your shit when you die, go get a will.
Yep,
I mean,
yep,
seriously,
right.
that's a legal binding contract, and nobody can change it unless they, cohort you to
Yeah.
change it on your deathbed. I don't know.
Which
But
I will be, by the way. I'll be cohorting you to change your will on your deathbed, unless I'm
you're,
already the sole guarantor, in which case
I mean, of course, you're going to get all of my junk.
I want all this stuff,
You're
like the
welcome.
plants in the background I can see right there. They're
Yeah.
mine. They're mine. I got them.
Do you want my award that I got at
I
work too?
do. I definitely
Um,
want the award. You can tell your girls I said back off. Aunt Janice is taking all the shit. Okay, that's happening. Anyway.
like I'm not anti-marriage by any means. It's just
Of
not for me.
course.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's almost like that is a switch in itself,
Yeah, exactly.
it's so
Exactly.
weird. It's
Yeah.
so weird.
Well,
So
I will say after my first marriage ended, one of the things that I've always kind of considered, and this will be really way out there for some people, is how much better I feel like we would be if we treated marriage like a business contract. And what I
right.
mean by that is that, okay, we're in love, we want to get married to state it to the world, get all the tax benefits, whatever the reason is. But this is going to be a 10-year contract. And at the
Yep.
end of 10 years, we each have to decide if we want to re-up. And if we don't, it's not divorce as in like failure and it didn't last forever, etc. It's simply that, okay, it's run its course and we're
Yeah.
good and we're going to go our separate ways. And the reason I think for me, that's one of the biggest reasons I feel like that would be really highly impactful, is that if there is a deadline, think about a business, right? If you have a 10-year contract and at the end of it, the person on the other side is going to decide if you're worth another contract, you're going to
Right.
keep working hard all the way
Right.
up through year 10, right? You're not going to settle in like so many of us talk about what happens. You're going to actually work intentionally to make sure. So everybody always says relationships are work, etc., and they are, and yet we don't do it, right? We get into that marriage and then we think, okay, we're done. We can coast from
Stuck.
it.
You
But if it
married
were a
me.
contract and
Yeah.
automatically at the end of a period of time, both of you had to sign again and agree, I think we'd go about the business of marriage very differently. There you go, everybody. You heard it here first.
Janice,
Make it happen.
I'm going to say this, and you can mark my words. That
Okay.
is fucking brilliant. And
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
First and last time I'll say that.
That's okay.
Anyways,
I only needed one time. I only needed
and it's
one time.
recorded.
That's it.
No, you know what? That is so true, because here's the deal. You can fire a company for not having good customer service or not upholding their end of the bargain.
Amen.
You can fire them and then sue them. You can sue them, but you get married to somebody, you're like, well, you should have known. No, it should have known what? That they were going to be a loathing asshole? No, no, because they're advertising at the beginning for something else. Now, you know, or whatever.
Or we change, right? As simple as we change.
Or don't grow.
Of course.
You know, so I think I've said this before. This is my 4th marriage. Hence the reason why I'm never getting married again.
10th before. It's only 4? Okay.
I'm not Jaja, okay? I'm not Jaja.
Leave space for improvement. Go ahead.
Or Liz Taylor. I don't have money like them. I can't afford to keep doing this shit.
Amen, girl. It's all about the money. That's the other one that could go on our playlist. It's all about the money. Money. There you go.
All about the money. Bitch better have my money. No, yes, it's false advertising. That's why there's annulments and stuff like that. But if they treated it more like a business and like, look, feelings aside, we need to make this business transaction. That's what prenups are for. People get all bent out of shape for that shit. No, protect your assets.
If I had shit, I would want a prenup. I didn't have anything, so it was a moot point.
Yes. Well, Joe's not going anywhere. So, you know, he's awesome.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, and you're awesome too. I mean, how can you leave? What is he going to do? Better than you? Fuck that. Whatever.
Right. Yeah. Good try.
Good luck, Joe.
Sorry, don't listen to this episode, babe, okay? Any of the rest of them are fine. Just
it's trash. You don't want to listen to it. It's just, just a bunch of trash. He's like, isn't that the whole premise? I'm listening.
Damn it. We'll bury it.
No, that's awesome. And I mean, so many people in business, even they're like, oh, well, that, you know, whatever hurt my feelings. No, that's business. That was just said. And so in these instances, yes, a contract. Yes. Live up to your side, your end of the bargain, ma'am, sir, they, them, whoever.
You know, think about it. You set vows, right? Now, obviously, if you go by the traditional love, honor, blah, 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 that's not, but lots of people these days write their own vows. And so if you think about it and you just said, okay, here are the vows, AKA goals. We did that episode. Yes. Here's how we're going to measure them. And here's how we're going to chunk them along the way. Cause I don't expect you to be able to like meet that goal / vow that you just said right out of the gate. Just consider how much more intentional we would be about the relationship and about the us. Once we have kids, the us gets lost. And that's a whole other episode, right? The us gets lost. How much more intentional we'd be about the us if it were, again, at the end of 10 years, both parties had to agree to re-up versus it was just an automatic ongoing thing. So,
you know what? We need to have another podcast that's called The Business of Marriage. And and just sit there.
Marriage. I'm copywriting that right now. Nobody steal it.
The business of marriage. And you know what? That just might be a new segment because that is fucking genius. And we could even help people. We'll help you ladies.
You know what? We have JP JP's already an ordained minister.
Yes.
So he can be he's the one.
Come on.
He'll do it. See, right? We come in and we talk about like, what would your vows look like if your vows equated to goals that were a part of fulfilling a contract? Oh my gosh.
He's going to love this shit. You guys, we're going to have JP on all the time now. Just watch.
Oh my God. I love it. All right. So let me ask you this question then, going back to your particular circumstances.
Yes.
Talk to us about how your kids are responding to all of this, right? Because even though you are able to talk about it in a very matter-of-fact way, we all know that doesn't mean that you're not going through your own stuff. And you and I are very similar in that it's, you know, that there's a face that you show and a face that you don't. But how are the kids navigating all this?
Honestly, because that's the only way I'm going to be. They're fine.
Good.
They are relaxed. They're problem solvers, just like me. They're my kids.
Yeah.
And we sat down and we talked, snapped right into, we work as a team.
Yeah.
And Chase has been amazing at coordinating rides to school.
Love it.
And she's also been amazing at coordinating rides home on the days that I can't make it there in time. I have also adjusted my work schedule. I'm now working 6 a.m. to 2. So, and I'm being very strict with my boundaries at leaving at 2, so I can be home in the evening with my daughters.
Good.
I still work, you know, but I'm at home, you know. We have pets to take care of. We have, and we have a very needy bird that I walk around with on me everywhere I go. When I get home, she squawks as soon as I pull up. But it's good, and it's very the energy is different, and it's a lot more relaxing, and we're hanging out a lot more, which is great. I love it.
Yeah.
And they're enjoying that as well. And yeah, they're really good, and it's just been a big transition. And I think with having Devin and Shoko there and stuff like that, we've had extra people in the house. So they leave tomorrow. And I took the day off of work tomorrow because I've worked a bazillion hours this week, and I'm like, don't even talk to me. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm still going to be taking calls and stuff like that, but I'm going to clean my house and do laundry and get everything, spring cleaned up. I did that a couple of weeks ago, and now I have to do it again because we've had, guests and stuff like that. But it would just be nice to reclaim the house again and just relax. And I'm looking forward to that and getting back onto the routine of 6 to 2. So that way I can be home in the evenings, because I'm really enjoying being home with the girls and cooking dinner and doing all of those things. So that's
it's amazing, right? We get so absorbed in our professional persona. And we think to ourselves, I have to be there. I have to be there. I have to be there. It's going to fall apart if I'm not there. And yet then when something happens in our personal lives, and thank God you work for an organization who says, yes, you need to take care of you and you need to take care of them. And yet you make that adjustment, and suddenly you realize, oh, wait, it's not falling apart without me physically standing there, right? Like we live in a world right now where I don't have to physically be standing there in order for the things to all happen the way that they are intended to happen. So I love that you're embracing that, and that, it's too bad that it takes a crisis sometimes for us to embrace it, but I'm glad that you are.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I can't be there all the time, and and on the days that I need to be there a little bit longer, I make adjustments, and I communicate and talk to the kids and see what they can and can't do, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I mean, what are they going to do? I was teasing somebody the other day. I go, what are they going to do? Fire me from one of the positions I hold?
Exactly.
That'd be nice, because then.
BG Dubs, because they're not paying me for both. They're only
I'm not getting paid for both. So can you fire me from one of them and then I could just do one? No.
Exactly.
No, I don't get me wrong, guys. I love my job and I love everything that I do, but it's like, it gets tiring sometimes. But no, the butting up to yesterday and why I had to put myself on a timeout. We're running and it's chaotic, and we're planning this major fundraiser, and it turned out to be freaking amazing. It was just it was so awesome.
I saw some of the pictures online. It's amazing. It's amazing.
There's some I mean, we had Tiffany Haddish there, Young MC, we had Tone Loc, we had people, different performers, and we had a drum line, and we had a flash mob, and we had dancers, and like it was all this kind of crazy stuff. I didn't get to see any of that, because I was working my ass off at registration, trying to fix problems and everything else, and the people screaming in one ear and the other, the music on this side, and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, beforehand, I showed up and I came in hot. Like I had gone to Michael's, I'd done all of these things, and I'm in the area where we're setting up all of the auction stuff, the silent auction stuff. And my boss asked me something, and the way I answered her, she was like, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I was like, I had to stop, and I was like, oh, sorry. I was like, I didn't mean to come off strong. I'm just trying to do. She's like, well, I'm really stressed out. I go, I'm really stressed out too. so just so you know, like, it's cool. But then, we finished what we were doing, and I thought about it. I'm like, why did I react that way? And I'm like, oh, because you got 2 hours of sleep last night, and you haven't eaten, and it's 2:30 in the afternoon, and you're exhausted, and you've been doing this for a week straight. Like, maybe you, Jane, should just go somewhere where you don't have to interact with everybody, and you don't need to be in the mix, and you can just go be in solitude. And so I resorted to hot gluing sticks onto paddles for the auction, but we had 300 of them, and I had one glue gun. And somebody else was like, have somebody else do it. I'm like, no, I'm going into my office. I'm going to turn on music, and I'm going to hot glue the popsicle sticks onto these paddles, 300 of them, because I need a timeout. I am not in a space where I can, like behave appropriately right now. I just need to go chill,
I love it.
And so I did. And I'm one of those people that people are just like, they're drawn to me. And so then I had a parade of people in my office, but at least I was in my office, in my space. And if they came in, then that was on them.
Right.
You're coming
You're
to the
like,
lion's den.
you're
You're in
bad.
here.
I tried to create a safety zone. If you're going to violate it, then
Yeah,
good luck
come
for you.
on in,
Yeah.
but my claws are out. So, but no, I think being in my office and being behind my desk and being able to just focus really helped me. So, but how
Well,
I became aware of it was, we have an intern that was there, and oh, it's 11:11. Make a wish. Just kidding. Okay,
wow.
make my wish. Yay! All right,
Okay,
back to the story. She's super sweet, and we were just chatting and stuff like that. And later on, she asked to be paired with me at the registration, and she was like, I just wanted to say that I love your self-awareness. And she goes, and I just envy that, because the fact that you put yourself on a timeout, because I was just honest with her and I told her why I was in there, because I was running around. And she's like, what happened? I was like, oh, I need to put myself on a timeout. And I told her, and she was like, she goes, that self-awareness is huge. She goes, because most people aren't like that.
That's right.
And they'll just keep being a jerk, and stuff like that. I'm like, I learned a long time ago that I have just as much work to do as everybody else. And I am not perfect. And if I need to listen to myself, and we all need to slow down for a freaking second and understand, why are we behaving this way?
Yep.
What's the root cause? Lack of sleep, no food, and stress. That's enough to rip somebody's head off. And hydration. Yes, hydration, everyone. And that's another thing. I hadn't had anything to drink all day too. So it was just a combination for chaos,
Of course.
And so, but in those moments when we are pedal to the metal, those are the times where we just need just the basics: hydration, food, and sleep. That's it. If I had those three things, I would have been in a totally different mood, So
one of the several years ago we bought a pre-owned Tesla, and I tell people all the time, one of the things I love about having it is that it creates the space for me to have that time you're talking about. Because if I have to, if I'm driving, more than an hour and a half or so away, I've got to stop and charge at some point. And that's either anywhere from 20 to 40, 45 minutes. And at first people were like, oh my God, that's so much time wasted on you fueling, doesn't make you sane. I was like, you don't understand. I take a nap almost every single time, even though more and more of those superchargers are like in Target parking lots and lots of fun places where you could go shop. I take a nap, and it is like the thing I love the most. But I will say this, I'm going to put a plug in I follow a woman on Instagram. Her name is Brooke Weinstein, and she's a doctor, but she focuses, all her content on Instagram is around this idea of self-regulation. You just described it, right? So she would say you were dysregulated, and she does a lot of content about getting to the root cause of why you're being dysregulated. And for you, it was hydration, food, like you said, no sleep, etc. But add on to that also the sensory overload from where you literally the sensory overload you just described. So she's a great person to follow on Instagram. She has really great content, and she's a widow. She's got a couple of young kids, and so she has a really unique context of her own. But to hear you describe that, like your intern said, this idea that you can be so kind of self-aware and know when to do that, right? And for you, the catalyst was realizing that you kind of came back at your colleague a little sharp or abrupt or whatever it was. So really, I think being reflective about what are our own signs that we're triggered, right? What are our signs that we are on the edge and we need to give ourselves a timeout?
Right. Well, it would have been so much easier for me to go, what's her problem?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then keep walking, and then continue to be an asshole to everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's so many of us that do that. And I'm guilty of it too. As you're stomping around the house, you're mad about something and your energy is filling up the room and everybody's like, Jesus,
Absolutely.
So, but I'm aware that I have a very strong pull on energy, and I can fill a room very quickly. And so do I want to create chaos, or do I want to keep calm and keep the whole environment calm? Because that one person that has that strong energy that can fill a room can fuck it up for everybody.
Oh yeah.
And I'm one of those people that can fuck it up for everybody. And I've done it before. And I don't want to,
Well,
I
you
don't,
set the
I don't,
tone.
yeah.
When you
And
have that personality, you set the tone.
I
And you
do, and
set
I'm the
the,
coach. And
yeah,
so there's another responsibility
yep,
to be on all the time.
yeah,
And I knew that I could not flip that switch and be on. And so I needed to go seclude myself. So I did not show that side of me at that time, because that's
yeah,
not the image I want to have around my work and stuff. And so just regulating that
yeah,
and being able to say, like, look, I'm putting myself on a timeout,
absolutely.
because I know the power that I have energy wise. I know
Yeah,
it's great, and so no, it was a good moment, and it was really cool to hear it from somebody else. And later on, my boss was like, hey, do you really need to work on Monday? And I was like, you know what? I really don't. I
good,
don't. I'm just
good.
going to take the day. I'm not, like, I'll do some computer stuff or whatever. I'm so backed up on work. I mean, do it, like you said earlier,
Amen.
you don't feel like you're doing a good job at any of it because you're
Yeah,
doing all of it. That is a true statement. So
yeah,
true. And it hits deep on me, because that's, I mean, I hold myself very highly accountable.
yeah.
And when I'm not able to keep all of the plates spinning at once, you start feeling like a failure. But you have 20 plates spinning when other people have two.
Oh, yeah.
You're 19 spinning plates now is fine, like
We're always our biggest critics when we have those personalities,
100%.
right? Always our biggest critics. And so, yes, like your intern, when you have that one person who says,
The
you're good,
validation.
you're good, you need
Yeah.
to, you're fine. Because I've been, it's that time of year with my day job where, we're building a book of work for next year. How are we
Yep.
going to support different, districts and that kind of thing. And I always, I'm always a little panicked that there are districts out there I could be supporting in different ways and I'm not getting to them, right?
Right.
And so I had a colleague in the last week or two, just like you said with your intern, who just said, you're good. Like, and I'm like, it's not about the amount of work I'm building. It's that, am I getting to each of my partners so that
Right.
they think to themselves, oh my gosh, we could use this help or use that help. So yeah, we're definitely our biggest critics. And so having the opportunity to, just like you said, kind of give yourself some calm. My trick, I know when I'm there, when even Joe, I think it was the week before last, I was up at like 4:30 in the morning on a Saturday. And yes, I'm a morning person, but no, I'm not up at 4:30 on a Saturday. But I was up because I woke up, I was wide awake at 4:30 with work stuff just going through my head, like this list of things I hadn't done that I really, were high stakes. I wanted to get them done. So I got out of bed and I started working. And when he finally woke up, he's like, when were you up? And I said 4:30, and he was like, okay, babe, that's not like you. Like yes, you have a high stress job, but it's very rare that you outwardly show it. So it must
Right.
be really stressful right now that you're
Yeah,
out
and that's
showing it.
exactly, and that's exactly how I am too. Like I don't show stress very often, but when
Right.
it gets to that point, it's like where I can't even control it. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's a lot. And
Yeah.
and you and I are very similar in that way. We can handle a lot of stress and carry a lot of weight on our shoulders, but it's there's a cap,
Yeah. Yeah.
and again, we are the ones that take on and take
Of course.
over, and people rely on and know that, if they ask you to do something, you're going to do it. And
Yep.
so,
And you're
but we
going to do
take
it
great
well.
pride in that,
Yeah.
but it's okay to time out and
Yeah.
ask for help. We're the hardest ones. We're the worst ones to receive,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. Yeah,
To
it's
follow
very
our
hard to
own
receive.
advice. Yeah. To follow our
Yes.
own advice. Yesterday for me, it looked like getting up in the morning, doing, several things on my to-do list that I wanted to get done around the house, etc. And then giving myself 2 hours by the pool. It was finally warm enough, sunny enough. I could just sit out there and just bake in the
Love it.
vitamin D. And but for me, 2 hours is all it takes. And then I was
Yeah.
completely rejuvenated. I felt like I got back up to my computer, and yesterday afternoon, one of the things that's been weighing on me is building a lead magnet, a resource for my parenting work that's all about scripts that parents can use to start hard conversations with their kids. If you'd like it, reach out to me. I'll send you or go on my social media. You'll see it in the next week. But it'd been weighing on me for a couple of months. I've been wanting to design it. And after just that 2 hour, just sitting in the sun doing absolutely zero, I came up and just knocked it out completely. However, I will say this, I don't want to go on a tangent, but partly how I did it was through ChatGPT. And so if you are somebody out there who is not thinking about AI right now, that's something I'll talk about later, but I have a colleague friend who is deep into that stuff, and I'm following one of her master classes. And it's not that it wrote it for me. It's just that it helped me organize my thinking. And
Gotcha.
that's what it enabled me to go like, oh, step by step by step by step by step, done. Right. So anyway, so
That's
I
cool.
think as I'm looking at our time here, I think that one of our big takeaways from our trash digging this morning is simply this idea of carving out time before
Yep.
you get to the tipping edge, carving out time for you to just kind of have your time for yourself.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Whatever that looks like.
Yeah, and I think that also self-awareness is huge.
Yes.
And just knowing that we're human, and we need compassion for ourselves,
Yes.
and that's a big one, is just compassion for ourselves. And I've been taking that time. I haven't even really been watching a lot of TV.
Yeah.
Or, I've just been like going to sleep,
Yeah.
and when I can. And yeah, it's going to feel really good to clean up my house. And I think we might even go to the beach. It looks like the sun's kind of peeking out, so maybe we'll go to
Yeah.
the beach. We went last weekend and it was freezing.
Oh my gosh, that's what you get for ditching me. Oh, by the way, yeah, I forgot to mention.
Oh
on my
yeah.
list
Oh yeah.
last
Okay.
weekend.
Okay.
So,
Gaslight me now.
but that's okay. We won't go into details, but it was beautiful here, by the way. Gorgeous.
Well,
Warm, sunny. Although,
I'm
hold on, really
glad
quick
Jesus
story.
rose in San Diego and not in Ventura.
That's true. Quick story is that you probably escaped a near-death experience because our Easter egg hunt was almost devastating. Let me tell you very quickly.
What?
Quickly. So here's what happened.
You guys, we haven't talked about
so
this. This is the first time I'm hearing this too.
You get to hear the Easter egg story. So Cammie and I went to, we don't have a great yard for an Easter egg hunt because the backyard's mostly the pool, and then we have the side hill, but it's like, So we were like, let's go to the little canyon right next door. So we go, the grass is too high on the path. We were like, no. A little further up, we're like, this big open area, like a little mini park almost. And even though the grass was high, we were like, let's just throw them here. They'll be easy to see. People can traipse around. It's not like we're hiding them to make them hard to hide, whatever, find whatever. So we're doing that. And we get about halfway through our big ass bag of eggs. And I toss an egg down, and then I happen to look back at it, and I realize I see literally the rattle of a rattle. Like literally egg 6 inches behind it, rattle.
Oh my God.
You and I are like in a crisis. So very calmly, I say to Cam, who's a little away, Cam, so I think I see a snake skin, because it wasn't moving. I was literally on top of it. So I was like, it's a skin. You know what? Didn't even occur to me to think about snakes. Let's start gathering our eggs and head back. We'll find another place to hide them. So she's like, what? And then she just starts gathering eggs. So then I go get a stick, because I'm like, okay, I'm curious. Is it a skin? Is it not a skin? So I go get a stick and I move the little egg that's right next to it, and it starts to move. And again, I calmly, I say, you know what, babe, it's alive. So just whatever eggs you've got, grab them and let's go. Meanwhile, we had like a half a dozen people who were going to be traipsing around looking for Easter eggs. Never even
rattlesnakes
to think about freaking snakes. So we both, like, she comes over because of course she wants to see it. And the weird thing is, I was really shocked that it wasn't responding to me. I was on top of it. The fact that it didn't like raise up or rattle or anything.
It's probably just sunbathing.
I think it was like drowsy, like it was like asleep.
Drowsy. Right?
Yeah. So we gather up as many eggs as we can. Cam comes over, takes a look at it, creeps herself out completely. And then we bolt out of the field. So we ended up just hiding them on the hillside. It was very cute, lots of pretty flowers. Although BT dubs, we have found snakes on the hillside before, but we kept out of the really big areas. We just did the light areas next to the sidewalk and made it easy. But yeah, near-death experience, girl, right here. That happened.
Well, I'm glad you made it through that.
Whew,
and
it was close. It was close. Yeah.
Note to self: never egg hunt at Janice's place.
Ever for the rest of your life. So anyway, after you ditched us last weekend, I forgot why I was going with that, but I think
that guilt and shame me. Like, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, I am your big sister, so that's how that goes, right?
Well,
if I'm there,
that's written in the handbook. That
exactly,
you
it's completely written in the handbook. So yeah, so that's the trash, man. That's the trash we've got going on right now. Everybody, thanks for listening,
hanging out,
considering your own, and hopefully what you're taking away from it is that like all of us have it, and so we have the big stuff, we have the backstory stuff from our childhoods, we have all triggers
We
in
have
the top
daily
left,
stuff.
but the
Like this
daily
is
shit, man.
this is like the weekly trash dump,
Yeah,
like the trash men are just picking up our stuff to take it to the landfill. We're just dumping that so we can move on
exactly.
and move on to next week.
Move
So
on to next week. So give yourself, think about this week, think about the next few days, think about ways that you can check yourself in terms of your own, to Jane's point, self-awareness about where you are. What do you need to be the resource that you want to be to everybody else? And what we
yeah,
know is if you let your tank get to empty or below, then everything stops because you can't be the resource that you want to be. You've got to take care of yourself up front. And we talked about lots of ways to be able to do that.
yeah,
So yeah, I think we're good, sister. Yeah. Any final
yeah. I
thoughts?
think we are too. Yeah.
I think
So
so.
we can sign off and say goodbye to our friends and then post.
I like it. I like it. All right, folks. Thanks as always for being a part of the conversation and listening in. We certainly hope that you took something away from our trash dump today. And if not, well, we did. So,
Yeah.
thanks for that. And
Yeah.
like, listen, subscribe, do all the things, make sure you're sharing. We're continuing to build momentum around this conversation to bring it up to the attention of many, many more. And we want your friends and family and all the folks you know to be a part of that. So be sure to do that. Take care, everybody. Peace out.
Bye, guys.